Welcome, writers, readers, and friends to the Authors Talking Bookish podcast. I'm Donna Norman Carbone, author of All That Is Sacred.
And I'm Hope Gibbs, author of Where the Grass Grows Blue.
We're two debut writers traditionally published by a small publishing house, bringing to you all the experiences that we as authors learn the hard way, so you don't have to.
We'll give you insights from the inception of a book idea to publication and beyond. And along the way, we'll share our love of books from the writer's perspective.
Welcome back, friends. It's episode 63, and today we're talking about how to spot a scam in order to protect yourself as an author. My name is Donna Carbone, and I am joined by Hope Gibbs. Hi, Hope.
Hey, Donna, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am great. Just got back from Mexico. We went down for a little birthday party for a friend and just got back and just, getting back in the swing of things.
Oh, nice. The last time I talked to you, you had just come back from Mexico.
Yeah, it's the perfect time to go because usually in January, the weather is awful in Tennessee. Yeah. But on Christmas, the weather was 72 when we got out of church. And the very first week and a half, it was 70s. So you're thinking you're escaping from the cold weather. But I mean, we do have cold here and there. But but anytime someone says you want to go to Mexico at this time of year, I'm a yes.
You're there.
I'm there. I mean, I get to see humpback whales and I take down my computer. And so, it's nice.
That's amazing. One of my favorite memories from this past summer was a day my husband and I were out on the boat and we ran into a school of dolphin. And oh my God, it was so much fun. We just hung out with them for the longest time.
What is it about anytime? Because we saw some dolphins too. When you see a dolphin or you see a whale, I don't care. Yeah. Everybody stops. It's just, there's something magical about it.
It's majestic.
Yes, there's something majestic about those creatures. Yeah. So what about you? What's going on with you?
Nothing. We've had a really mild January, which I'm not mad about. Although I do look forward to a couple of snow days, maybe in February. I've been spending time with my granddaughter and my family, and my husband is in full swing hockey mode. So he's an assistant coach for the high school team where I teach. So, we're all about that.
Yeah. Hockey is kind of big in Nashville. We have the Nashville Predators, but it's one sport because I have 5 kids. Not one of my kids played because we don't have a lot of ice down here. We don't, it's hard to get ice time. And so that was nothing. And plus none of my kids were skaters. So,
I lived at a rink for years.
I love going to hockey games. I mean,
they're fun. They're a lot of fun. I like going to hockey games too. I'm not a huge sports fan, but I do like watching a hockey game.
Well, who's your team? I mean, the Preds are.
Well, you know what? My family's team is the New York Rangers. Okay. I am not someone, I kind of root for anybody. I'm not somebody who, not somebody who is like a, devoted fan to any one team. I like the Bruins. I like the Rangers.
Okay. I get that. The older I've gotten, the less, because I used to be like live, die, breathe by every Kentucky basketball, like win or loss. And a few years ago, I mean, I still, I'll watch them if they're on, but I guess, things change when you get a little bit older and, yeah. So, but like I said, I always cheer for Georgia football because it makes my family happy. So happy husband, happy wife. So,
exactly.
So what about on the reading front? Have you found any great book of 2026 you want to talk about?
Well, I've been in ARC reading mode. The last 3 books I have read are advanced reader copies. And so I'm reading one right now by a good friend of ours. We've had her on the show. Her name is Grace Salmon. And she's written her second fiction novel, and it's called The Reliable Narrator. This book comes out in May, I believe, and it is phenomenal.
Really? Well, of course it is, because it's Grace.
It is phenomenal. It is beautifully written. It features one of my favorite writers as a character, Virginia Woolf, and her husband, Leonard. And she honestly pulled out all the stops in this book. It is so good. So as we get closer, we'll talk a little bit more about it because it's a book that I think everybody should read.
I will say this about Grace. She was such a mentor to us because we
Yeah.
both started going to Bookish Road Trip book clubs, and she was the very first one that I went to, and I won her book, and she
Mhm.
sent me an autographed copy, and she sent me little things from the book, and that was we'd already signed contracts, but we were far
Mhm.
from being published, and
Right.
she kind of taught me how to be a writer, like there's being a writer and there's being an author, and she
Yeah.
taught me both because her book is beautiful. I loved her first book, but there was something about the business of being an author and
Yeah.
how you conduct yourself. And I looked up to her and I'm like, okay, this is who I want to be. So I cannot wait to read that book.
Yeah. I feel the same. She is a very dear friend,
Yeah.
and I feel like my life is better for having her in it.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Mm. So what are you reading?
So I was cleaning,
Mhm.
2026, trying to clean out my cloffice, as we like to
Yep.
call it. And do you ever buy a book and you forget you had the book?
Mhm.
And I did that. And so I went old school, and this is from John Grisham,
Oh,
and it's
wow.
called The Rooster Bar. And this was like from 2017, 2018.
Mhm.
And I just decided, you know what? He I give John Grisham a lot of credit for me coming back to reading after college because
Yeah.
I think I had talked about this before on other podcasts that after going through high school and college and you're told what to read, and yes, they're the classics, and I probably should have enjoyed them more than I did at the time. It was really John Grisham's books that really brought me back that joy of reading. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to read this. He's always, I don't think I've ever read a John Grisham book and thought, ugh, and I'm not that way with a book anyway. I don't
Yeah.
usually go in because I can always find something positive about every book. I'm just enjoying it. It's John
Yeah.
Grisham. It's comfort. He's got great twists and turns, and he writes really detailed backstories on his characters. And so, yeah, I'm just going back to a little old school John Grisham.
I have never even heard of that book, and I, like you, used to be a big John
Yeah.
Grisham reader. I read
Yeah.
everything that came out, and then
Well,
I just got tired of the genre more than
yeah.
I got tired of his writing.
Yeah, it's a great book about three young. They're young law students that
Mhm.
realize that their law school is kind of one of those that gets a lot of government loans, and
Mhm.
they tease them into, yeah, you can be a lawyer, you can be a lawyer, until they realize they're $200,000 in debt, and they're
Oh,
coming from a law school that's kind of not that. It's barely
prestigious.
accredited. It's
Yeah.
barely accredited, and they realize that they're going to be living in debt. But then there's this whole circle of the people who own the law school also own your debt, and it's just a really interesting. It's
Wow.
it's, it's John Grisham, but with younger characters. So
Yeah,
it's
that's neat.
and
So
they
he's
all
appealing
gather.
to a younger audience.
Yeah, and it's they all go to the root. Their new offices are kind of in this place called the Rooster Bar. So
Oh,
I'm
cool.
enjoying it. I'm falling back in love with that genre a little bit because I loved that for so long, and then I went to women's fiction. So now I'm kind of dabbling in 2026. I'm trying to hit all kinds of different genres.
Nice. I think it's interesting that you bring up John Grisham today on this podcast episode because I get letters from John Grisham, and I say that in air quotes for those of you who are listening. I've gotten 3 of them.
Hmm.
I don't understand it. Like, how do these people get my email address?
Yeah. So do we want to talk about what our episode
Yeah.
is today?
So, the title of our episode today is Marketing Scams Every Author Should Know.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about how to spot a scam, different questions to ask, how to vet a scam if you're not quite sure if it's legit or not,
Yeah.
some rules of thumb to kind of go by, and then we included some samples of different emails and letters in our show notes.
Yeah. And I think that anyone who publishes a book, I don't care if you are with the big four, big five publishers, you're with a small press like we are, a hybrid, or you're just you're a self-published, it's your business. everybody gets scammed. You're going to get those scam emails. And I was very good about, luckily I was very good at spotting them because I kind of always have that, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. But they are getting more and more clever. And we're going to talk about one that almost duped me. But this is a thing that's really bad about being an author, because these scams, they're preying on more than just your money, but they're preying on a little bit of your hope, because a lot of them are like, oh, if you do this, we can get you'll sell 1,000 more copies, or you'll be a bestseller, or we'll turn your book into, a movie or a TV show. But to me, the money is one thing, but the thing that hurts me the most is they really prey upon hope.
Yeah.
So
that's something that is just unspeakable, and it's getting worse and worse with AI.
Yeah. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about it for not just, for our author friends out there, or people who are writing, or people that, love books. Because this is something that happens. I mean, I get several a week, or through Instagram.
I do too.
Okay. So how do you spot a scam, Donna? So the first one is pay for publicity traps, promising media coverage, best-selling status, or celebrity endorsements. How many of these have you gotten?
Several. My John Grisham letters.
Yeah. Yeah. And they can come in all forms. I get them on my author email account, and I'm like, how did they even, obviously they had to have gone through my website. I don't even know how they're as savvy as they are, but as we said, with AI, it's getting much easier for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the other one is the bogus book promotions. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah. They pretend that they are marketing people, and they're going to do everything to market your book. I got one recently. I'm just going to read from it. These are some of the things that they offer: visibility through our newsletter, community channels, and curated bookshop, engagement with readers, optional author conversations, extended discoverability throughout the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did that come through email, or was that through Instagram?
Came through email. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
it claimed to be a women's fiction showcase.
Oh, I have not gotten that one. That's interesting. So another one is, how do you spot a scam? So you have this happen to me, a fake PR Hollywood pitch that offers, that says your book is being considered for film or TV. So this was the only one that I didn't fall for it, but it kind of like excited me when I first got it, because it came from a real Hollywood agent. And I looked it up. It was a very well respected one. But then when I started going through the list of people who work there, I mean, I spent a good hour on it. This person did not exist, but they were saying, we need you to come up with a deck. We need you to come up with a pitch. We want to, and this was right when my book had gotten some footing. It was doing really well on Amazon. And in the back of my mind, I kept saying, this isn't right. It came through my author email account. But still, for a second, you have that tinge of, well, what if it's not? Have you gotten one of these?
No, I have not gotten one for Hollywood pitch yet. So I'm in the clear.
Well,
so far. So I have gotten the next one, though.
Okay, so talk about this next one.
Yeah, the phony social media influencer services. I get these all the time on Twitter, Instagram. Not too much on Facebook, but definitely Twitter and Instagram, where they'll DM me and want to influence my book. There was actually one that was advertised. We have a little author group within our publishing company, and someone got wind of a TikTok influencer. Ooh. And so somebody in our group put it up and said, is anybody willing to try this to see if it's legit, to see where it works? So I was like, you know what? I'll do it. It was $50. It was a complete waste of $50.
Yeah.
And, they boasted that they were going to send my book to different TikTok influencers, and that they would review the book on TikTok, and made these guarantees. And lo and behold, amount money.
Yeah.
So that was the one that kind of shifted my perspective.
Hmm.
Because it came in our author group. I thought, maybe this one is legit.
Hmm.
I feel like you're still like you want to be a trustworthy person. But yeah, now not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get constant DMs, especially on
Mhm.
Instagram, that says, "Hey, we love what you're doing. We want to feature your book," and but they want money. And so we also have a thing like with our publishers. We don't pay for, just random reviews. That's not part of what we do, and you have to be really careful about that. And so you just, I sometimes I don't even engage because I don't want I'm always afraid that they could somehow hack me. So I just kind of ignore those. And the
Yeah.
ones that I really ignore, because you brought up Facebook, constantly I will get these things like, you have violated Facebook
Oh, that
rules
I have
with
gotten.
your author page, and you must. And thank God, the very first time I saw that, I was like, this is not right. And
Yeah.
it just so happened some other people in our publishing company had come to our group and said something
Mhm.
about it, because you don't even respond. I mean, when I
No,
see that, I immediately
I
slice,
just delete.
delete or
Mhm.
block, because that's something real. They're not there just to scam you. They're trying to get into your account and take it over.
Right. And you bring up an interesting point as well is, we have our author community.
Hmm.
We are also part of the WFWA community. I think having a community and being part of a community that you trust is
Yeah,
really important, just to kind of go to those people and say, hey, have you gotten an email like this? Have you gotten something from this person?
yeah.
Because chances are that somebody in your circle will have
Yeah.
and, can help you out.
So another red flag, are these email campaigns that will give you flattery. Of course, they will, but they also do a little urgency, because
Yeah.
they want to pressure you into spending big. Have you had some of these emails as well?
I get these weekly.
Yeah.
And you know what? With AI, they go on AI and they pull from probably the reviews that have been written about my book. And they always start off with this beautiful, heartwarming review of your book. And, who doesn't like to hear praise about their book? So at first, when I first started getting them, I was like, oh, wow, but this person really does seem like they've read my book. But you dig a little deeper and you realize they have not. And since then, I really honestly get at least 2 of them a week.
Yeah. So here's some helpful questions that, if you're dealing with any of these scenarios that we've talked about, here's some questions maybe to ask yourself. Are there promises over the top? As with mine, is going to turn my book into a movie. Yeah, that was probably a little over the top. The other thing about, like, with Instagram, um, are readers actually their customers? I mean, do they actually have a following? And if they do they actually get any views and likes? I don't know about you, Donna. I've had people ask me, they want to review my book and all this, and then you go and they have, like, I don't know, 8,
10,000
10,000,
followers.
10,000 followers, but then their actual likes, they may have
Right,
5. So that should
right.
also tell you that they probably have either done a lot of those follow trains where there's no engagement, or more importantly, they've
The
bought
the
followers,
bots.
and
Yeah,
they have bots. So that's
yeah.
a big red flag. And why don't you do the next 2 questions, Donna?
Sure. Do they represent books in your genre? If it's legit, you wanna make sure that they represent books in your genre. If not, it's a red flag, and you should turn away from them. And can they provide references? This one I want to speak to in a little bit more detail, because early on when I first started receiving these, um, there was one that I asked for references, and she was like, of course, I'm glad you asked. Sent me references with author's name, their website, which was a legitimate author and a legitimate website. And I went to those authors and I asked them if they ever worked with this person, and they
Mhm.
had never heard of this person. So they
Wow.
were giving legitimate authors as references, expecting you not to follow up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, our advice is follow up, look deep.
Look deep. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk a little bit how you can vet a scam. One of the big ones, if someone is guaranteeing you sales or a bestseller status, it's most likely going to be a scam because marketing can increase visibility, but not necessarily get you on a best-selling list.
Yeah. Yeah. So make sure that whomever is offering you something can deliver on what they're offering.
100%. And what else, Donna?
Ask for proof of past campaigns, and I'll defer back to the example that I just gave you. Reputable marketers will have at their disposal references to use and samples of various campaigns that they did. So if they don't have those, or if they provide them for you, make sure that you do your due diligence and check
Yeah.
them out.
And just FYI, there are some wonderful reviewers out there, and
Yeah.
they're legit. And so we're not saying everything is a scam. We're not saying that at all. Donna and I've had wonderful experiences
Mhm.
with some of the same book tours and whatnot. But there are predatory, aspects out there, just like there is with anything. So here's another thing about how to vet a scam. We're writers, so what do? We should research. So just
Mhm.
like with anything, research before you buy. There are scam checking websites. There's also, buyer or not buyer beware, but it's writer beware, which is a great website for writers.
Mhm.
And you can check. You can check in Google and see if there are complaints about these individuals.
Yeah.
So that's one of the keys that we have. Most writers do research. So just do a little research for yourself.
Yeah, and on our show notes, we provided 5 links to different scamware detectors. But also Google is your friend. And as I mentioned, the WFWA, the Authors Guild, those are also organizations that you can go to and ask those questions. I know both of those organizations have forums that you can ask questions of other authors.
Okay. And so what's another thing that you should be worried about?
Be cautious of unsolicited emails. Most of the scams that I get are sent to me unsolicited. I don't know how they got my email address. Must be on a list, or maybe they went to my website. I don't know. But scammers often will just drop into your email list or drop into your DMs.
And just what I'd said earlier, there are some wonderful people out there. There are professionals and they are transparent. So, with our final one on this is, trust them. Their real marketers can explain pricing,
Mhm.
deliveries, and expectations clearly. Anyone that I worked with, not one of them said, we guarantee results that you're going to sell this many units of your book or you're going
Mhm.
to be an Amazon top 5. None of that was never guaranteed. And so that's something to remember when you're dealing with any kind of interaction with someone who says they're a reviewer or a marketing campaign.
Right.
So, and then finally, let's talk about some rules to live by.
Sure.
Um, as you said, I think this is the number one thing for me. If they reach out to you, it's probably not legitimate.
Right.
Donna, what else?
Also, if they ask you to pay, to be careful, and make sure you check for references.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
again, ask, expectations. Like, just again, do the research, ask around and ask for what is going to be your return on this investment because again, as I said earlier, these scams, they take away a little bit of your hope, but unfortunately
Mhm.
they take away a lot more of your money.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And, the fine line that you walk is that there are some things that you will pay for.
yes.
Um, and some of those things are very legitimate, as Hope has said. But if they're not, I either respond to whomever by saying, I'm not allowed to pay for
Mhm.
publicity or what
Yeah.
have you. Or I just, lately, I've just been ignoring them because more and more are coming in.
So, Don, as we wrap up this episode, do we have a do now for
Um,
those that are looking out for themselves and trying to avoid being scammed?
sure. I mean, I think the do now is to head on over to our website so you can read some of the samples that we have culled together for you, just so you can take a look at the verbiage that they use in the scam notes. They seem pretty legit. And also, I would take a look at some of those scam sites that we mentioned, just to know what's out there and know how to protect yourself.
And remember, with the AI, they're getting better and better. As Donna said, they started off with a glowing review of her book, which, again, it gives you that little bit of glimmer of hope. So,
Right.
Donna, let's talk about what's on our next episode.
So, our next episode, we are interviewing an author, and we're excited to do that.
I love our author interviews
I
because
do too.
I feel like I always learn something, not just like from their writing process, or I like just to get to know them kind of outside of their writing world. We've got this new segment that we're doing, kind of just asking them 10 quick, fast questions. And
Yeah.
you kind of get to know the person behind the book cover and behind the
Mhm.
website. So I'm very excited about that. As always, everyone, you can find us Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, and on Instagram. We're over there as well. And again, thank you guys so much for joining us, and be on the lookout for something that looks a little too good to be true.
Bye, everybody.
Until next time.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Hope Gibbs.
And I'm Donna Norman Carbone. It's time for you to get to work.
We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks with another tip from your author friends.